Does an offset make the best bark on a pork butt? Today we're going to highlight how the Lone Star 20x42 creates an amazing bark. Compare it to my Kamado Joe from a catering event I did a few weeks ago. This will be a quick overview of my process and show you the final result. So stick around, we're going to jump right in. This is an 8-pound pork butt I got at the grocery store, and I like to salt brine the night before, so I trimmed it a little bit, but I kept most of it together, and then I like to score the fat cap and leave that on. I think fat is flavor, and it really comes together really nicely. So we salt brined it overnight, put it in the refrigerator, and then what I like to do is season it with my sweet red dirt rub, and that's what we did. We seasoned both sides. You want to coat it really well. And then we got the Lone Star Grillz up to speed the very next day. I like to use my grill torch from Grill Blazer. It lights up your grill and in like 60 seconds. And so you don't really have to have long wait times to get your grill up to speed no matter what it is. So I like to use a bed of charcoal on the Lone Star as a base, usually lump charcoal, but you could use really big briquettes as well. And then I like to put some wood splits on either side of my firebox to warm it up so I get instant combustion. We're aiming for 275 to 300 on this cook. And once I got up to temperature, then I began to put one split at a time. This is post oak. I like just that subtle flavor. And then we put this directly on the Grill Blazer, and I literally let it run between 275 and 300 for, I think this ended up being a 10-hour cook. This is 8 pounds because of the fluctuation. That's one of the fun things and the advantages, but also I don't want to call it a disadvantage, but when you're doing an offset, you got to stay on that fire management and keeping those wood splits. So if you're running errands or doing things and you notice the temperature comes down, you got to run out here and throw a wood split. So that happened a few times, but overall, we just let it ride. I did not do any kind of foil wrapping or a foil boat or anything like that. Just let it go straight heat. I did rotate it a few times. I was smoking a brisket, which will be another video later on at the same time, and I would rotate it from the left side of the cooking chamber to the right, switching the brisket and those two things depending on what was closest to the fire. But I let it ride for that like 10 hours. And then I let it come down to temperature, maybe 30 minutes, let it come down, cool off. Then I put it in a foil pan, and then I put a foil cover over it, and I put it in a warmer. And I let it, we have an event, or actually an event, we have a family gathering coming over, and I need to have the food ready by 1. And this is a strategy I've been loving doing. I have a warmer now, and I've been doing long, hot holds for family gatherings and catering, and this has been my new go-to strategy. So that's what we did with this pork butt. That was the process, like straightforward, really easy. So now I'm going to bring you in, and we're going to shred this, and then we are going to put this back in the warmer because about 45 minutes from now, I've got family coming over ready to serve. So let's bring you in and let's get to shredding. Now that is what I call a tender pork butt, tender, juicy, just shreds in your hand. That's the advantage of doing a long hold. Got some nice bark. There's that bone. Don't even need to use it to shred. And then what I like to do, and I don't have it out here, is I like to season it one more time. And it's got all the juices in here. I did put just a little bit of apple juice at the base to keep things moist. But now we'll add a little seasoning to it. I'm gonna cover it back up, keep it in the warmer just for a little bit longer as I'm about to serve folks. Wow, that was so tender and juicy, and the flavor was outstanding. I dumped some of that seasoning on there as well, put it back in the warmer for family later. So as I think about my Kamado Joe, which I absolutely love, I'm a huge fan. I am an ambassador for them. I'm a huge fan of Kamado Joe, but I'm loving my Lone Star as well. and there is a distinctness between the two, obviously being an offset and being a stick burner versus just charcoal only with some wood chunks. However, I would say, as I'm thinking about, and again, I don't have my Kamado Joe pork butt recent, like today, compared to, let me know in the comments if you want to see a true head-to-head at the same time. But as I think about the pork butt I've cooked on my Kamado Joe over the years, but recently, a few weeks ago, doing a cater event for my church, I'll have it on the screen. You can see a wonderful bark on that, and then me shredding it as well. I feel like I can see a lot more tenderness and juiciness here on the Lone Star, but I will say the distinction there is I added some apple juice that helped that retention whenever I was doing the warmer, versus I think I added a little bit of water in the Kamado Joe pan whenever I did that. So I think that's the distinction. So it may not be, it might be an unfair advantage. And I definitely think that's a big deal, is wanting to add liquid into your pan when you're using the warmer. At least so far, that's been a game changer, and also keeping things moist and nice and not dried out. So I think overall, they both create a great bark. I do think the offset creates a deeper, like black bark. Although the Kamado Joe, you can see it is black. I just think you see a little bit more of a distinction on my offset, but they're both tasty. Let me know in the comments what you think, what questions you have about the Lone Star and the bark formation. Overall, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of smoking a pork butt on the Lone Star and how I'm beginning to see the differences as I'm smoking on an offset. So again, from my backyard to yours, less hate, more love. Good barbecue. Till next time.